Okay, so here's 2020 paper 1 question 9, and I want to talk specifically about the last part of the question. Earlier in the question you hopefully worked out the turning points of the function by differentiating it, factorising it, and asking when it equaled 0. And we're then asked about two variations on that original function. We're asked about g of x, which is 2f of x. So that is a stretch with scale factor 2 in the y direction. So that just means those two turning points, this will become minus 8e squared, twice as far, it's been stretched, scale factor 2, and that will become 16e to the power of 4. That's the only change in terms of those turning points when you stretch the function with a scale factor of 2. Now we're asked about the range of this function, which is what y values we get. Well, the graph disappears off to infinity here, so we know there's no upper limit on the y values, but this is the lower limit. This function will never be lower than that. So the range, which can be described as y, or in this case g of x, it's just always going to be greater than or equal to that value there. So that's g of x. So let's now look at the second variation on the theme, which they call h of x, which is 2 times the original function take away 3. So that means that it's the same as the previous function, but we've just subtracted 3. And all that's going to do into the graph is move it down 3 units. So this point down here will become minus 1 minus 8e squared minus 3. That's that coordinate. And this point here, I can't see it because I've got my... So it was, with 2 f of x, 2 16e to the power of 4. So it's now going to be 16e to the power of 4 minus 3. So those are those 2 points. But we're told something else about h of x. X can only be greater than or equal to 0. So this part of the graph no longer exists. So now the range of this function, well, we know it never goes above that value there, but there's a lower limit now because we're only putting values that are greater than or equal to 0 in. So I need to work out that y value there. So I've got the full range of y values. I can either use y or h of x. I've got my upper limit. So all I now need to do is work out this value here. So I'm going to go back to the original function. So the original function, I'll just have to look up the question. So the original function was, let's go back to blue because we're talking about the original function, 4x squared minus 2 e to the minus 2x. That's the original function. So where does that original function, where would that original function have crossed the y-axis? Well, I know that's when x is 0. So when x is 0, I'm just going to work this out, and I'm going to use my calculator for that. And I get minus 8. So that value was minus 8. But don't forget, that's the original function f of x. So it's then been doubled, so it would become minus 16. And then they've taken away 3, so it would become minus 19. So we're now saying the original, the new function, h of x, which is 2 times the original function take away 3, this value will be minus 19. So that's the lower limit. And the upper limit is still that turning point there. So that's the answer to that last part of the question. Hope that's okay.